We live in the 21st century, an era defined by unprecedented access to information, diversity of thought, and the dizzying speed at which news travels. Yet, despite these advancements, some truths remain stubbornly simple, if only we dare to acknowledge them. One truth that has become glaringly obvious over the past several years is the stark contrast between expectation and reality in the corridors of power. This contrast has been illuminated not through traditional political analysis or think tanks, but through the unflinching lens of comedy, a lens that cuts through the smoke and mirrors to expose a raw and unvarnished truth. It is here, in the intersections of laughter and insight, that a comedian like Wanda Sykes wields her sharp wit, not merely to entertain, but to reveal the uncomfortable truths many would rather ignore. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to subscribe to Scandal Pulse. Hit that button so you never miss a story where the powerful are held accountable and where we dissect the theater of politics with unrelenting honesty. Here we expose the narratives, unpack the implications, and connect the dots that others would prefer you overlook. By subscribing, you join a community committed to seeing the world clearly beyond the spin, beyond the spectacle, and into the realm of truth. Watching from the safety of one's home, there's a peculiar satisfaction in witnessing the absurdity of those in power unravel. The administration, as Wanda Sykes and many observers have pointed out, is less an organized machine and more a spectacle of chaos, embarrassing, incompetent, and corrupt. The term corrupt is no hyperbolic flourish. It is derived from repeated observation, from the countless instances where promises fell flat, when norms were disregarded, and where the spectacle of governance resembled a poorly rehearsed reality show. To digest such a reality as a citizen requires more than political literacy. It demands emotional resilience and the capacity to confront dissonance head-on. Wanda, as a black woman and a lesbian, articulated this dissonance with remarkable clarity, turning humor into a scalpel that revealed not just the foibles of a president, but the systemic failures that enable them. The genius of such comedic commentary lies in its ability to bypass the sterile filters of political debate. Instead of dissecting policy and academic jargon, Wanda Sykes held up a mirror to the nation, reflecting the visceral truth, the cognitive dissonance of realizing you may understand the world better than the person tasked with leading it. This is not merely satire. It is a cultural barometer. It registers collective frustration, anxiety, and the quiet rage of those who witness the unraveling of norms without adequate tools to intervene. In her commentary, the absurdity of presidential behavior becomes inseparable from the social consequences it precipitates. Imagine the public gasp when the unfiltered truth is spoken on stage in the language of everyday observation. Phrases like embarrassing, incompetent, corrupt do more than sting. They validate the intuitive judgments of millions who feel the world shifting under the weight of mismanagement. And yet, comedy does more than diagnose. It challenges. Why do certain segments of the population remain silent or even supportive in the face of repeated dysfunction? Wanda's piercing questions cut to the core. How do you reconcile privilege, history, and moral responsibility with passive acceptance of leadership that defies the basic standards of decency? This cultural critique extends beyond the president himself. Melania Trump's public persona, or perhaps a meticulously curated absence of reaction, has become a narrative in its own right. While her husband raged in the public eye, she maintained an expression of serene detachment. The repeated rejection of handshakes, the focus on decorations, and moments of crisis, these gestures, though subtle, speak volumes. They are a silent commentary on dysfunction, a visual echo of the chaos surrounding the Oval Office. Her stillness is not neutrality. It is a mirror to the spectacle, amplifying the sense of isolation and disarray that permeates the administration. As comedy unfolded on stages across the nation, figures like Robert Darrow escalated the critique with an almost volcanic intensity. His performance was stripped of diplomacy, cloaked in raw expletives and a sense of desperate urgency. Terms like clown, fraud, and national disaster were not idle invectives. They were diagnoses. His rage was a reflection of collective fear, the dread that society might normalize behaviors that were once unthinkable. Darrow's warning transcended mere commentary. It was a call to consciousness, a demand for societal awareness and engagement. The danger, he reminded audiences, lies not merely in individual actions, but in the structures and permissions that allow such actions to persist. The critique did not stop at behavior. It extended into character. Shea's commentary dissected the president's persona with surgical precision, calling him the most unattractive man she had ever met. Shea's assessment was more than aesthetic. It was emblematic of moral and intellectual bankruptcy. The indictment was holistic. A person shaped by privilege and opportunity, yet failing consistently in human decency. Deception, manipulation, and narcissism were not ancillary traits. They were defining features deployed with a polished skill that distorted truth on a systemic level. Her analysis became a rallying cry emphasizing the power of collective action and the electorate's ability to intervene in halting dangerous trajectories. In observing these critiques, it becomes clear that comedy's power stems not from a desire to ridicule, but from the unique vantage point it offers. Comedians are untethered by political obligations, beholden to no party, and accountable only to truth and observation. Their humor, when aimed at those in power, becomes a vehicle of accountability, a force that pierces a veneer of performative leadership. Wanda Sykes encountering Trump supporters storming out of her shows is emblematic of this disconnect of microcosm of the nation's polarized landscape. Her commentary exposes not just the absurdity of the presidency, but the collective refusal to confront it in real time. The contrast between priorities is equally telling. The relentless focus on legislating against a minority group while global crises unfold illustrates profound moral misalignment. The juxtaposition is jarring, monumental existential threats against a backdrop of selective policy aggression. Through humor, these contrasts are made tangible, forcing audiences to recognize the absurdity not as a distant political problem, but as a lived societal dilemma. It is in these moments that comedy transcends entertainment, becoming a moral and cultural compass. This narrative is punctuated by moments of human relatability and absurdity where the mundane intersects with the extraordinary. Whether recounting a friend spotting Wanda Sykes at a movie or noting peculiarities of public appearances, these anecdotes contextualize a critique, rooting abstract observations and lived experience. The interplay of humor and reality provides both relief and resonance, allowing viewers to digest the gravity of dysfunction while recognizing the shared absurdities of their own encounters with it. Ultimately, what emerges is a portrait of power, society, and accountability refracted through the lens of comedy. The laughter is not merely for amusement. It is a recognition, a shared understanding that the spectacle of leadership can be both absurd and deeply consequential. It is a call to vigilance, a demand for scrutiny, and a testament to the enduring relevance of truth spoken boldly, unflinchingly, and unapologetically. In every jest, every piercing observation, and every stage-bound revelation, the comedians of our era remind us that power is accountable, truth is essential, and engagement is the antidote to chaos. This story is far from complete, and yet its lessons resonate universally. From Wanda Sykes to Robert De Niro, from S.H. to countless other voices, the message is consistent. Unexamined authority and normalized dysfunction are threats that demand attention, dialogue, and action. The voices that speak loudly, humorously, and truthfully serve not only as critics, but as mirrors, reflecting society back to itself, challenging complacency, and asserting that the responsibility to confront absurdity is collective, enduring, and agent. In observing these narratives, one cannot help but reflect on the broader implications. Leadership, accountability, and public engagement are not abstract ideals. They are lived experiences shaped daily by actions, decisions, and reactions. The comedians, the critics, the observers, they do more than entertain. They illuminate the fissures, expose contradictions, and remind us that vigilance is not optional. It is necessary. The laughter, sharp and unrelenting, becomes a call to consciousness, a reminder that the world, while absurd at times, is ours to question, challenge, and ultimately shape.